The conference has addressed quite a few common problems of democracy. One is the withdrawal of many voters from participation, from belief in the old institutions, the political parties that used to be the basis of democracy. Migration has become a major issue. The question of backsliding has been extremely important in Central Europe. In the United States, we've got a whole set of other problems having to do with gridlock and polarization. So all of these have been the basis for our conversations over these 2 days.
In terms of democratic hollowing, what we see is some signs of citizen alienation and disengagement from politics.
On the whole question of money and democracy, it's really complicated. There's so much money in the process that many citizens worry that the system is becoming corrupted.
The existence of captive voters is an important finding, and it's an important finding that complements the comparative literature that has only looked at vote buying and gifts. We believe coercion is a much more problematic phenomenon and a much more, from a normative perspective, a much more worrisome phenomenon than vote buying.
I would put it this way: the challenges we face to democracy today are nothing on the order of what democracy confronted during the Great Depression, when there was a rise of totalitarian ideologies, when a quarter of the population was unemployed in the United States and much of Europe. And we really worried about the survival of capitalism and democracy both.
So one of the things that's come out today in today's conference is the fact that in so many of these processes that we're discussing, culture actually matters, right? And the fact that culture matters actually makes it very difficult to have a one-size-fits-all policy solution for anything that we care about, even including corruption.
There are glacial, generational, transformational processes at work in the global economy that are shifting jobs to lower wage areas, that are changing the nature of economies as a result of globalization.
In our panel, we have presented ongoing research about the different forms of electoral coercion and intimidation, as well as vote buying in contemporary Eastern European countries. These practices continue to exist in low-income communities, despite the fact that, voting secrecy is highly protected. Resources of the state, such as unemployment benefits or social policy benefits that are controlled by the mayors, can be used as tools to influence the vote choices of voters. So particular threats to withdraw access to unemployment benefits or to work to welfare programs that are sort of here in Hungary have been used, and we can document the use of these practices.
You have to go in and really be thoughtful about how you're going to create the kind of political change that you want to bring about. I've become very skeptical to one size fits all on something like that.
We are confronting a rapidly changing climate. The climate is warming. It is creating more and more crises related to weather. Certainly the majority of the polluting states are democracies, including India, I might add, which is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases. So if we don't get democracy to work in this sense, then we will not have confronted the single most important policy challenge facing human society probably in the 21st century.
We are at the end, I think, of a 30-year, what was called the third wave of democratization that began really in Southern Europe in the 1970s and in a way culminated with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the transition of many former communist countries into what people hoped would be some form of liberal democracy. And at the moment, for that group of countries, there seems to be regression most notably in Russia, but in other places as well, and the rise of powerful authoritarian countries like China that are quite self-confident and are posing themselves as an alternative model. So I do think that globally there is, a real threat to democracy, and it's very appropriate that we think about that and what the right responses are.